Hey up, how are we? I'm back with another video after probably a 2-week hiatus. As some of you probably know, I stayed out in Japan for about 10 days after the tour finished and did a big lap of the country, and wow, what a beautiful place. The missus flew out and we did a nice big tour, went to Osaka, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Mount Fuji and back to Tokyo. But now I'm back. I was at the Community Shield on Sunday for Liverpool's win. What am I on about? I'm out of sync for Liverpool's loss against Crystal Palace, but it doesn't really matter. Hence why I forgot what the result was. It doesn't matter. It was more about the outing, getting the players up to speed for Friday's big opener, and we will do a video on Friday's big opener at some point this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday. But today, there's 3 weeks to go until the transfer window slams shut. So let's get into it. I put on Twitter for questions. I've got 5 good ones. I've got about 20 bad ones. I'm not going to name names for the people who asked the questions because a lot of them are the same, so I'm just amalgamating them together. But 5 big questions with 3 weeks to go on Liverpool's transfer window. And we're going to start with a question from, again, didn't bother writing down the names, sorry. Is there a genuine chance Liverpool can afford both Giovanni, Leoni and Marc, Guéhi? Well, yeah, there is a chance that could happen because Liverpool have recouped nearly 200 million in player sales this summer. Darwin, Diaz, Trent, Kelleher, Nat Phillips. I'm missing one, aren't I? Come on, come to me quick. Kwanzaa, yes, nearly 200 million in player sales, and there will be more to follow. Harvey Elliott, most probably. Federico Chiesa, probably. Ben Doak, probably. Costa Tsimikas, probably. That is another 60, 70, maybe more, 80, 90 million. So, absolutely, Liverpool have money to spend still. And also in terms of PSR, as we know, there is no concerns there. They've got so much money coming in. This accounting period in terms of the prize money they got from winning the Premier League, doing well or doing okay in the Champions League, winning the group especially, was a big payout. They've got that first paycheck from Adidas. 60 million is the quoted figure. Realistically, it's at least double that a year. It's a massive earner. So in terms of the finances, yes, absolutely, they can do whatever they want. Will they get both? Is probably a better way of wording the question. I can't rule that out. I think that could happen. So should we take them both in turn? So I think first of all, it's worth saying Liverpool's desire, and I'm sure you've seen this line shredded out a million times already, but Liverpool's desire is to sign a young defender this summer, one who can eventually grow up and fill the shoes of Virgil van Dijk. I think I've said that a million times already, but if you look in the past 2 or 3 years, Lenny Oro, Dean Huijsen, maybe Levi Colwill, and there's probably been some others that we haven't known about in that time. Liverpool have gone for them, none of them have come off. But that is what they want. They want a young defender, they want someone who can play in sort of both left and right centre-back roles. You want someone who's good on the ball, who's fast, athletic. And I see a lot of people saying to me, oh well, you know, Leoni has only played a handful of games in Serie A. But Dean Huijsen had only played a handful of games in Serie A. When he went to Bournemouth last season, a year on, he's a 50 million defender. And realistically, if he didn't have that release clause, Bournemouth could have probably asked for a little bit more than the 50 million that they got from Real Madrid. So I don't think Liverpool are bothered by that. And I know for a fact that Dean Huijsen was on their radar last summer, not just this summer. And I know that because he was mentioned a few times to me this time last year, and I thought, who on earth is Dean Huijsen? And now everyone knows who he is. He's playing for Real Madrid. Great defender and a good future ahead of him. But Giovanni Leoni, I've done a bit of homework on him. I can't profess to watching Palmer every week, but what I can say is I've watched him on Y Scout, and he looks like a talent. His positional awareness, his stature as well, he's a big lad, his passing, he's got all the traits that Liverpool need. And I think for a fourth choice defender, or a third choice, whatever he is, that's perfect, because yes, okay, maybe he will want to play more often than Liverpool are prepared to give him at this stage, but he will play an awful lot. If you look at the amount of games that Kwanzaa played last season and the season before as the third choice defender, he will play a lot. And Gomez, if he's fit, will also be there, of course. But it's good for him to come in, learn from Van Dijk for 2 years, and then obviously play more and more as the years go on. So will they go for Leoni? I think the best thing we can say is they're interested, they like him. And I've seen a bit about how Inter are ahead of Liverpool in the race. That might be the case, I've not heard that myself. I spoke to someone in Italy yesterday actually, and they said that Palmer would be looking for about 40 million to do a deal for Leoni. Would Liverpool pay that? I'm not so sure. How much do they like him? Well, the interest is definitely there. I'm not sure if they're completely mad about him. That's not to say they're not, by the way. But let's just see where this one goes. I think if Liverpool want him, I think they can get him. They will be prepared to put the money on the table. As for Marc Guéhi, that one is completely separate. As I have outlined in videos in the past, Liverpool want this young defender, as I said, but they're always alert to market opportunities, and Marc Guéhi is a market opportunity because he's an England international, he's 25, so maybe a bit older than what Liverpool would normally go for, but he's a really, really, really good defender. And aside from that, he seems a good lad. He's quick, he's strong, he's got that sort of old school defensive trait, but he's also got the modern aspects into his game as well. And I do like Marc Guéhi a lot as a player. I think him, John Stones in that Euros last season were brilliant together for England. He's obviously led Palace to an FA Cup final that they won, to a Community Shield, which I know it's a one-off game, but they still beat Liverpool, and he did have a good game. He enjoyed his battles with Liverpool strikers, and obviously he's led Palace to Europe for the first time in their lifetime. So, you know, brilliant player, and I think it is the right time for him to take that step back up to the big six after obviously being at Chelsea. Now, I do think Chelsea have matching rights, which could be interesting in terms of the fact that Levi Colwill, who we mentioned earlier, is out for probably the best part of the season. But there's nothing to suggest at this stage that Chelsea will be in for him. Now, there's 3 weeks to go. If Palace lower their valuation of about 45 million, and Liverpool maybe bring theirs up slightly, meet in the middle, let's say 35 million. I think there's every chance a deal could be done. I was told the other day that talks were scheduled at Liverpool over whether to pursue Guéhi or not. So let's see on that one. But what I will say is Liverpool will sign a defender this month. I'm sure of it. And I think they would be absolute fools not to. And we don't need to go over that again, but just quickly, Van Dijk is 34. He is not getting any younger. Obviously was at fault for Palace's first goal on Sunday. People are saying that maybe his best days are behind him. Don't be so silly. It's a Community Shield, it's technically pre-season. He's just been in bed for 5 days before that. But the fact remains he's not getting any younger. Ibu Konate, as we know, uncertain future with his contract. Joe Gomez, lovely lad, good player, but just can't be relied on for a full season in terms of his fitness. So they definitely need a defender, and I think they will absolutely regret it if they don't. But I do think that they will. So we're already at 9 minutes, we've only done one question, so let's rattle through a couple of others. If Isak is impossible, asks this person, who will Liverpool target? Well, Isak is not impossible. Isak is absolutely possible. I'm sick to death of all the lies that are going on in this saga from everyone, not just the journalists, just everyone involved. It's really annoying me now because Newcastle are saying he's not for sale, but he is for sale at this price. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I saw all the reports while I was off that Liverpool are going to pull away. No one believed that, surely. Liverpool are mad about Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak is mad about Liverpool, but Newcastle are being stubborn. But if I were you, Newcastle, I would just accept defeat on this one. Take the 120, 125, 130 million and run to the bank. It's a brilliant deal for you. It's a brilliant deal for Liverpool. Because you are selling your player, but you're not never ever going to get that money again, and you could get 2, if not 3, really good players for that price. And let's face it, Isak is never going to play. Well, he might do, but he doesn't want to play for Newcastle again. So I think Newcastle need to just swallow the pride. I've seen them getting a lot of criticism. I don't blame them for, holding firm on their stance. Absolutely, they should do that, and Liverpool fans would say the same if it was the same way around. But they need to swallow their pride and let him go, because this is his dream move and Liverpool see him as their dream signing. There's 3 weeks to go. A lot does depend on Newcastle, but I do still have a little bit of I do still have confidence that this one will get done. It just seems stupid for it not to get done at this stage. I am sick to death of the saga though, so let's hope that it gets done soon. That's the centre-backs, that's Isak. Let's move on. We'll talk more about them 2 things, of course, in the coming days. Tom Little, who makes some great videos that all my friends absolutely love. He says, Lewis, can you lie to me and tell me that Ben Doak is going to stay at Liverpool this summer and be used in the squad as the backup on the right wing? Cheers in advance. I could lie to you, yeah. Yeah, Ben Doak is going to be ahead of Mo Salah this season in the pecking order. But no, in all seriousness, Liverpool need bodies in that forward department, whether they sign Isak or not. They're a man light. And it does make me wonder whether you do just try and keep a Chiesa or a Doak around, because obviously Doak in his development is ahead, in his physical development is ahead of Rio at the moment. Now obviously we can say Frimpong can play on the right, Wirtz can play on the left, but Wirtz is unbelievable in the number 10. I'd argue he could be Liverpool's best player this season, as I've said before. Frimpong is brilliant in the right-back position, as we saw on Sunday, and also what if Conor Bradley's injured, as he is at the moment. So I don't really buy that argument about players can be versatile. Yes, it's great in theory, but in practice it's just taken away from other areas of the team. So does Doak get a chance to stay around? It does seem unlikely. There's a number of Premier League clubs interested. We know that Palace and Ipswich both bid about 18 million in January. I saw David Lynch reported. By the way, shout out Lynchy, because he was first to say that Liverpool were interested in Leoni. But I saw that Lynchy said that West Ham and Wolves were interested in Ben Doak. I did ask a guy that I know who covers West Ham, and he said that was the case, but nothing more than that at this stage. But there is interest in Ben Doak, let's get it straight. Would Liverpool be fools to sell him? It all depends on who comes in at the end of the day. He's a good lad. I think he's underrated actually by Liverpool fans. I remember Virgil van Dijk called him, the Tasmanian devil or whatever it was. The only worry would be his injury record. He's missed pretty much half of the last 2 seasons. Season before last, he was playing well for the 21s and then had to have a surgery. I can't quite remember what the surgery was. Last season, he was doing very good on loan at Borough and then had to have a minor surgery that was meant to only rule him out for 2 or 3 weeks, ended up ruining his whole season. So it's an interesting one with Doak. I do think he will end up leaving, but they are light and maybe they do need to keep one of them around. As for Chiesa, while we're on the topic, I saw a report yesterday that said Liverpool have asked him to stay around. I've not heard anything to suggest that is true at the moment. And the guy I was speaking to in Italy about Leoni, I said to them, what's crack with Chiesa? And they basically said, yeah, I think last week of the window he will come back to Italy. So let's wait and see on that one. Someone asks about the youngsters, Bajcetic, Dans, Kumas, McConnell. I know Celta Vigo are keen on Stefan. I'm not sure if that's a loan or a permanent. I personally would do one more loan. I wouldn't sell him just yet. I think he looked good at Las Palmas last season, so I personally would do that. And get him bulked up a bit, get a full season into him. He's obviously had his injuries. He had his problems at Salzburg, barely got in the team under Pep Lijnders, and the manager after, and obviously he'd left by the time that Pep had gone. As for Jadon Danns, again, he needs a loan. Obviously Liverpool have the striker problems, so maybe that is something to factor in. But Danzy barely kicked a ball last season. Didn't kick a single ball for Sunderland, didn't even train with them on that loan. So Danns needs a loan to the Championship, in my opinion. Kumas the same. Maybe that one is more clear-cut for a sale. I know that a number of Championship clubs are interested in him. He had a decent loan at Stoke last season. I think Wrexham have been cited with an interest, so let's wait and see on that. And the last one was James McConnell. I would expect that one to be done in the next week. The clubs that were in for him just wanted him to prove his fitness because he's been injured for a long time. He played an hour for the 21s on Saturday, I think it was. Ipswich and West Brom are in for him. And I think there's the fact that, you know, you think Ipswich top of the Championship, maybe going to be in the top 2. Does he really want to go there where he might not be in the team every week? But he's got the mentality, I think, that he can force himself in. So that's the outgoings. And someone finally asked, why is Richard Hughes decimated the squad depth with no guarantee of replacements for those players? It currently looks like there's no plan. So I'll answer this one quickly. Richard Hughes is always a man with a plan. We're on the 12th of August, but trust me, by the 1st of September, things will start to look a bit more clear in terms of the plan. 2 players at least, I think, will be coming in. Yes, there'll be exits. But in terms of the squad balance, the depth, I think it will look a little bit more clear-cut. So we're on 17 minutes, so I'm going to leave it there. I'll be back with another video later in the week. I'll be at Arne Slott's presser on Thursday. I'll be at Anfield on Friday. And for all the coverage you need, drop us a subscribe. Drop us a subscribe, does that work? Click the subscribe button and the like button. So thank you very much. I'm going to go and enjoy the sun because I'm meant to be off today. As you lot will say, I'm always off, but maybe not. But have a good week all. I'll be back with another video very soon, in a bit.